In this model, we have two processes with two resources, number 1 and number 2. Let's say we want to play around with the number of resources. I set resource number 1 fixed capacity with 1 first. Resource number 2, let's set it based on schedule. The schedule name is S2. And we define the schedule S2 here. For the first 4 hours, let's set it 1, quantity 1, and the next 4 hours, we also have 1. Later we will change the number. Or we can put a variable here, the N1 for the first 4 hours, and N2 for the next 4 hours. We need to define N1 and N2 in the variable. N1, initial value is 1. And N2, the initial value is also 1. Okay. Now, let's record some statistics. We go to the input output. Right now we have nothing here. Okay. If we use the record module, then we can collect a few tally statistics. Okay. Let's add the time between. That is the time between two entities that get out the record modules. Let's give it a name like the tag time, because the meaning of it is tag. Okay, you check here, you will see the tag appear in the tally. You can define other statistics and put it accordingly, whether it is time persistent, the output, or the counter. All right, let's save this model. Save as. And put it in a new folder. Test 3. Okay, go to here. Okay, and give it a name like test 3. Save. Okay. Now you check this model, test 3. Okay, you only have one simulation file. The extension is .doe. This is before we run the model. After we run the model, you will see many other files appear with different extensions. Let's run the model. Go to the run setup. Okay, set file replications. Replication length 8 hours. Okay, we run this one. I choose batch run to speed up the simulation. Okay, let's have a look at the result. We look at the category overview. It will give us the statistic across all the 5 publications. And we have the tally here, the tally here. All right. Now let's check our folder again. Okay, you see, besides of our simulation file, there are other files with different extension, and this is what we need for the Arena Process Analyzer. We need the file with the extension .p. All right. Pay attention to this one, dot P. Let's close the report. Now we go to Tools and open the Process Analyzer. You create a new project. Here it allows us to make many scenarios. Each scenario is like one experiment we want to do in our simulation model. Can give it a name like scenario 1, and we have to specify the simulation file with the extension .p. Okay, and you can only have that after you run the simulation model. Remember that. The test3, and here it is test3.p. That is the CMain program files. I choose this one and open. Right. Now, for each scenario, we would have the control and the response. The control variables are the variables we want to play around, and the response is the output. Okay. Let's add control. We have a few options for the control, like the resource. Let's play around with resource number 1. Okay, we can change the number of resource number 1. Okay, maybe we just leave it like that, number 1 for the base case. And add another control. How about resource number 2? We can give the number of resource number 2. But remember, we have a variable to change the number of resource number 2 for different hours. We can go to user specify and look for our defined variable N1 and N2 here. N1, we add N2. All right. Okay, so what we want to look at the output, and let's insert the response. Right, we have many categories here. We can go to the user specify where we have the tag here, the tally. Can add that one, and we also can use those built-in attribute and variables in Arena, like let's say entity. We will have statistic, tally, and time persistence statistic like in, out, total time in the system, wait time in the system, value added time, in the WIP as well. Okay, let's choose the WIP. This is a time persistence statistic. And add one more, maybe maybe how about the resource. Okay, we also have the resource utilization. Okay, so let's choose one. All right. Okay, now let's add another scenario. Scenario number 2. Okay, let's change scenario number 2, like we increase the number of resource 1 to 2. Okay, and leave the rest the same. Scenario number 3, we will change N1 to 2, for example. And this scenario number 4, we change N2 to 2, for example. Okay. For the control, you also can vary the number of replication of the replication length. Okay, let's look at the control again. Go to the system. Okay, you can define the number of replication and replication length here. Okay, let me add the number of replications. Right now it is 5, as we already set it in our simulation file. So just leave it like 5 and see how. All right, now let's run on the 4 scenarios. I will select on the floor at the same time by pressing the shift and click. Run. Okay, we are going to run all the 4 scenarios at the same time. You may want to see the CMA summary report. But before that, we have to save this project. So yes, let's save this project. The extension of the process analyzer file will be .pan. Okay. The message test3.pan. Now you see it appear here. It runs all the 4 scenarios, each with 5 duplication, and this is our response. You also can look at the CMAN report, all right, with all the statistic in the report here. All right. Okay, now let's have a look at the width, for example. All right, the width, we have 3.13 with 0.0, 3.3, 3.0. Are they really significant difference? We look at the resource schedule, we have 0.9, 0.5, 0.9, 0.9. So are they statistic significant difference? Now let's put them in a chart. Let's choose the width. Okay, and insert the chart for the width. Let's choose the box and whisker. Okay, we have 2 options here, whether we want to compare the average of the response across the scenarios or within one scenario, but different replications. Okay, I want to look at the width, maybe the width and the utilization. Next, one, we can have one only. All right, next, and next. We have 4 scenarios. We want Arena to identify for us the best scenarios. We are looking at the width, so the smaller is better. We have the error tolerance here. You can set it as 0. This is like the practical difference allowable. We have a chart here. This is the width for the 4 scenarios. Look at here, it says that the red color is the best scenario, but here all the 4 scenarios are red color. It means that there's no statistically significant difference between these 4 scenarios. All right. How about the resource schedule? Let's look at the resource schedule. Insert the chart. Okay, use this one again, box and whisker. This time, let's plot for the schedule. Okay, identify the best scenarios. Okay, so the higher resource utilization, the better. We choose bigger is better. And again, we set the error tolerance 0. Finish. Okay, which one is the best one? You can guess. All right, the best one are the red color one. All right, they have about 0.9 utilization. So we cannot statistically distinguish scenario 1, 3, and 4, but scenario 2 stand out. This is the worst case. Right. Let's say we want to increase the number of resources further. See if we can help. All right. Now we see that when we double resource 1, the resource utilization of resource 1 is not Good, so we shouldn't increase the number of resource 1 anymore, right? Okay, so let's increase resource 2. I will add one more scenario. Let's see scenario 5 and 5. See what happened. Right now, let's run one more scenarios. Let's run the scenario 1 and scenario 2 again. Sorry. 1 control. Choose another one. Okay, let's run these 2 scenarios. Let's reset. Yes, reset it and run it again. Okay, see scenario 1 and 2. Scenario 1 and 5, sorry. Okay, now let's plot it again to see any significant difference here. You see that the width increased to 3.363. Let's see. It seems to increase the width, right? That's trend, because when we increase the number of resource, we think that it should help, but look at the response, seem to be increased. The width here, 3.3. Okay, so let's plot again. Insert another chart. Can use box and whisker again. Okay, let's plot the width. Next, identify best scenario. Bigger, smaller is better. And set the error tolerance to 0. Okay, look at this. Well, actually, it doesn't increase. There's no statistically significant difference. They're still the same. So when we increase the number of resources, it doesn't help. Okay. Well, we can look at the data of the 4 scenarios as well. We go to the chart option, and here we see the minimum, the maximum, the 95% confidence interval. This is the half width. Okay, this is the half width of the confidence interval at 95% confidence level. The low and the high are the first and the third quarter of our data. This is the low and the high. All right. Okay, and then you can always close this one. You can close this. You can save this pen file, right? And you can open it again anytime. Go to Process Analyzer again and open, looking for the pen extension. Okay, here we have. All right. Okay. Now it's your turn to try it on your project.